Burning Bush podcast. This is episode 7. My name's Spencer.
I'm Sean.
I'm Zach.
And we are just 3 Jewish high schoolers living in Houston, a major metropolitan area, giving just our take on certain areas and aspects of life from the perspective of our demographic. Today, we're talking in a bit more of a niche category. We're going to talk about movies and the way that they have begun to deviate and how the art form has grown and the way movies are, I don't know, just movies. So I think we can start with one of the reasons we decided upon this topic was Avengers Endgame came out a couple weeks ago. I saw it with Zach, and then Sean saw it with another one of our friends. And we all loved it.
First of all, spoilers.
Spoilers ahead.
Yeah.
But at this
Leave
point,
now.
if you haven't
not
watched
seen
it,
the
I don't
movie
know
or
what you're doing.
or if you care.
I hate to start just gushing over Endgame so quickly. But it was just a very, very, very good movie. Especially when you take into account all the movies that came before it, and the fact that this sort of acted as a finale to this first.
That's the thing, though. You say I think it only works as that finale, and it's not Infinity War is the better movie in my opinion, and I think there are.
I would agree with you if Endgame didn't so neatly tie up so many different character arcs in such a satisfying way. I think what makes the Marvel Cinematic Universe so successful is the fact that all of its stories, or most of its stories, are character driven as opposed to plot driven. And you really, really grow connections with and likability for characters rather than stories. And when you have that, you're going to be more attached to those characters. And that's why in Endgame, when you see all these arcs and all these developmental stories of the characters finally pay off, they have such a satisfying feel to them because you feel so connected to these characters. I was watching a video the other day talking about how. Do you guys remember in Age of Ultron? That scene where they're all sitting at the on the couch, at the after party, trying to lift Thor's hammer and seeing all that.
Yeah,
So that scene, they said is one of the best scenes in the MCU, and I agree because it talks about it shows how well all of the characters are played by the actors and how brought to life each character feels. They all have their own unique personalities. And it doesn't feel I don't think that would really be able to work in Justice League or in the DCEU.
It totally could if they did their characters right.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Because
their
they
characters
didn't.
themselves are just fine. They're not. It's just the movies.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Superman specifically. I just think he's played really badly.
He's written badly.
Yeah, he's written terribly in this new wave of people. And when I think about who Wonder Woman is in these new movies, I'm not instinctually drawn to a list of character traits and what she is like. And I can so much more clearly and easily do that for a character like Captain America or Iron Man or any of the 50
it's the
characters.
exact same character every single movie.
Yeah.
And with that actor, so when you see that actor, you'll always associate one with another.
And when you see a new movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe,
you're just oh hey, it's that character.
The new character brought in, let's take 2 movies for Guardians of the Galaxy and Spider-Man. Homecoming. So with those two movies, you see an introduction. I guess not necessarily with Spider-Man, but for the most part, you see an introduction of two characters, right? Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and Peter Quill, Star-Lord. And with both of those characters, instead of the movie giving you like an origin story of how they became a superhero, or giving you like a bunch of really cool action scenes, which they do, I think most of the story is geared around the fact that like the internal struggle that Peter has like growing up on his own and dealing with all the stress of like living this life, and the relationship between him and Tony Stark as Iron Man. And that sort of build up and like character building that you get from Spider-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy with like Peter Quill and his mom dying from cancer and all that stuff, that's not seen really anywhere else in any other cinematic area. And that just goes to show how Marvel is really fighting the trend of a lot of corporate movies being made specifically for financial profit, like the Emoji Movie, or like the Detective Pikachu.
I heard that's not even that bad.
Detective Pikachu, like I don't see how anyone could have like.
Let's not shit on a movie we haven't seen.
Okay.
But okay.
Well, you can compare that.
No, I was saying though about with the Marvel. You said they're not like corporate and stuff, but they all not all of them. A lot of them really do follow like a formula though. They all have like a very similar feel to them.
I agree, but the formula I don't think was made to ensure that every movie would be successful. I think it was made to ensure that each character is realistic in its writing. I think the writing and the casting are like basically what makes the MCU incredible, because like all these characters are so believable as real people.
I mean, you can take that same thing with Spider-Man's mom dying, and you can compare it to when Bruce Wayne's mom dies, and their parents get shot.
Right.
It's like you don't
Hold up. You mean his uncle?
Uncle, yeah. Sorry. You can compare that, and like you really don't feel that much for Bruce Wayne when his parents get shot.
Right. Because so in Batman, the Dark Knight trilogy is in the DCEU, right?
No.
Oh, it's not?
Definitely not. No, it's just Nolan's trilogy.
Okay.
That would not make sense at all.
Sorry, I haven't seen any of like the Batman movies in the DCEU or anything.
Wait, never mind. I'll leave my hot takes for later.
So, but like, I feel like if the DCEU or like the Justice League half of the superhero movies, if they started including more, I don't know, character-driven story arcs that show you like the struggles of these characters and like the flaws that they have and how they overcome them.
They actually do that. They do that, but they just like
it just doesn't click.
A lot of it's not written well. Some of the movies are like really shitty. And they were really like rushing into like the whole like the team up movie. Yeah. So that like literally half the characters in Justice League like didn't even have their own movies and aren't getting them for years.
That was the same thing with Avengers though.
No.
All of them had their own movie. Besides like
the main characters.
All the main ones did besides like Black Widow and
yeah.
Hawkeye don't count. But
well, I mean, do you count like the Hulk?
He had a movie.
Yeah,
but like does it count?
Yeah, it's canon. It's
I've just always kind of assumed that was like...
It's there, but it's still kind of like...
Right.
Everybody doesn't like it.
But it's still like, when you look at the Hulk, you already like know who the Hulk is.
And he's
developed... You know his personality.
Every movie
he's developed through like, even the Avengers movies.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Each of the movies that he's in, like, they have like a big like shift, or like there's something like new about him.
And then randomly in Endgame.
And that's with a bunch of different characters. Like, take Justice League. Take like... Can you tell me with... Like what is the struggle that Wonder Woman faces in Justice League?
You know, I saw that movie, but
like you don't know. Like what was the struggle going on?
No, one thing was that when not Spider, Superman and Batman fought, The only reason
God.
that it really is, the only reason that one didn't die is because their mom had the same name.
And they literally changed that from the comics too.
They
like,
had
made
the same name.
They
and
made their mom.
He
the
said
same name.
Martha.
Why did you say that?
I know, and then immediately they just don't die, and that's the only reason
kill
why. It's not like built up. There's nothing like, there's no like reason. They just kind of meet, and then suddenly they have the same mom name, and they're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like not as impactful. I would say, just like this, the silly stuff like
It's just
that.
dumb. You like watch it and you're like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Why did they start fighting?
Because,
One is like,
well, first of all, bad writing. But second of all, let's see. In these movies, it was established that Batman like kills people, which is kind of stupid. But like they already
He's
kinda
like a
fucked up.
vigilante.
They already messed up the character.
Right.
And then it was something to do with Superman is a threat to the world. It's very like not Batman like.
so they're both like vigilantes, kind of.
well, kind of, but
So that's again
it
like
just doesn't really make sense.
that's what I think is the big difference between
We don't
like
know.
if you think
It's too
if you
confusing.
take Batman v Superman and compare it to Civil War,
Yeah.
you know with definite certainty why Iron Man and Captain America began to fight and why they dislike each other and like how their relationship has changed because you've like built like foundations for both characters in a very heavy way and
And, like,
you
their rivalry kind of like has been
yeah
a thing in previous movies.
right and it's like hinted at there's so much consistency in all these movies and when you have consistency between characters you're able to really like make a lot of the reasoning behind their actions believable as opposed to a lot of stuff in Superman or Batman or Justice League or any of them where all their characters can like there's so many times when we notice characters acting out of character. I think that's another big difference. Although I don't want to just go like continue to talk about like the difference between Marvel and DC because that's not really what this is about. I'm here talking about like
But they're good examples.
yeah, they're I think Marvel is a very good example of a way to build movies that our generation and our like that we want to see. And I think DC is a good example.
They build up
Yes.
Is a good example of movies that that are made for cash profit and want to become popular before putting in that hard work of laying the foundation of characters. DC already assumes that it has that crazy hype when it goes into Justice League and it doesn't.
It has like some, but yeah. It's
I mean, I kind of realized how big that Endgame got.
Endgame.
When like I've probably watched almost all of the MCU movies like randomly scattered across like time, and I probably don't remember half of them because I've watched them a while ago. But when I like with Endgame, everyone's already talking about it. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, Endgame!"
Yeah.
And this was like the first time with a movie that I actually like reserved tickets in advance. Was like waiting to go. Got there and like everyone clapped. That was a first for me. Like different moments through the movie.
Audience interaction with a movie, that's very rare to see.
Yeah.
And
it's like reserved for like Star Wars.
It clearly shows you like how impactful this franchise and that movie specifically is going to be on the world. And the reasons for that, which I can keep going back to, is that they know how to make movies, as opposed to so many movies I'm seeing lately are like so incredibly
dull,
not creative. Like there's a movie coming out talking about the like Godzilla expanded universe.
What? Dude, that doesn't even look bad.
There's like
I know it doesn't look bad, and I'm excited for that, and that's what I'm saying. That is another example of I think what we're going into as a culture
Oh, okay.
to like start establishing like a new form of movie entertainment. As opposed, like, because sci-fi movies are getting way more popular.
Yeah.
But it's not even the genre of sci-fi. It's specifically, like, like, this sort of niche sci-fi genre is becoming, like, so mainstream.
Because it's all like futuristic and it's all like I think it started with our generation, at least. It started with like Divergent, Maze Runner, and all of those.
No, that's a different genre. That's
but
like
it's kind of like
it's
still like the same thing of like what's gonna happen in the future.
That's like not even the same genre.
But when you like
Those
for
are,
example,
like,
with those two,
those are just based on book. Those books have already been written.
okay,
Some
yeah,
of them are like old too.
I guess.
Well, yeah, but MCU is based off of comic books that are older than those.
Okay, that's fair. But
okay,
I mean,
here's a topic we could talk about. Bandersnatch, how that kind of tried to change some stuff.
I think just in general, like, the creativity of films and media in that, like, are becoming way more broad and the scope is widening. Like, people are starting to find more creative ways to express different forms of media, like Bandersnatch.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
it was creative, and it like took a large step in like a weird direction.
yeah, it
the
was a
thing
weird
though is,
direction.
I don't think there's gonna be like other movies that are gonna be.
I don't think there will either,
No.
but I think it's
Well,
I think it's
niche.
really cool that
But yeah, it is cool.
that
I thought it was gonna be-
movies that like change the expectation that people usually have with movies, like Bandersnatch or Endgame in the MCU, or like there was another one that was I forgot, but like the fact that that is way more common is very, very cool, because we're getting like we're I think going further and further away from businesses like spitting out the same type of movie for profit, and closer to like to artistic films being released. Like, let's think about Pixar. When Pixar made Toy Story for the first time, like, that was the very first film ever that was a full-length feature film that was animated.
in 3D.
Right, 3D animation. And that, like, took the world by storm. And that's one of those moments where a film was released that there had never been anything even remotely close to similar to it.
And it's,
like-
it's still kind of cool.
At all.
Even though they're not real people, the character development is really good. Like a movie like Toy Story 2, because
And
they just
Pixar,
show up every single movie, exact same character, exact same backstory. They're just like that character. Even with like a random character, with like Mr. Potato Head, and when Don Rickles plays him, it's
Oh my
like
God.
it's like still like amazing.
and Pixar as a company has continued to release very, very critically acclaimed movies
Oh.
that have consistently been,
Like Monsters Inc.
yeah, like very, very classic
Cars.
movies.
They're all classics.
They
honestly.
totally are. I mean, maybe not as recently, but they still like have a very good reputation.
Mhm.
And that is what I see in part with this 22 movie collection in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And that's not even over.
Yeah, and neither is
Still gonna
Pixar.
keep making
That's
that.
true.
Yeah.
And
It's the Pixar.
I think
theory.
like when this starts to become more popular, we're gonna see like movie franchises continue to do this way more often. And I think that's why, like, when you see the DCEU is releasing a ton of movies back to back to back that are in the same universe, and then you have this Godzilla universe back to back to back.
Well,
I-
there's only 2 Godzilla movies.
Well,
Not
yeah,
even.
but Godzilla 2014, and then Kong.
No, isn't
Oh,
there?
I forgot about Kong.
Yeah, that's in the same universe.
So okay, it's like 3 movies, but
Right.
they're pretty far apart.
But that's
though.
what I'm
And then
saying.
there's like
Like,
a bunch of Godzilla movies
in-
before.
in those,
That's separate though.
Separate, I know.
but like that's what I think is really cool is that we're gonna start seeing that way more often.
Yeah.
Which is like very groundbreaking. Like we have that's never been like a real thing before.
Yeah, the only thing you could kind of like equate that to would be like a book series.
Not even that,
But
though.
that's different though. That's
Because-
not even like separate stories.
Because
That'll usually follow
the
like
same
one group.
it's the same like same group, like one after the other. Like not even like Star Wars didn't do that. Like
Yeah, those are
not in
rare.
terms of movies. I think they're starting to, but I don't think they really are gonna do that.
I mean,
Look what the release like the Solo movies and the Kenobi movie.
the
Like
Kenobi movie's not even
I know,
happening.
but it isn't. Yeah,
No, that was
canceled.
never confirmed.
Oh, I thought it was.
They're out of the loop.
So then, what's the one coming?
There's no one coming out after.
Oh, really?
They're waiting till like the 2022 or 1, I think, for
Bruh.
like a new trilogy, which is
What?
probably going to be the Old Republic. But and then on Disney Plus they have like shows.
Disney.
Wait,
Disney-
what? There's gonna be
that
episodes
is so-
10, 11, and 12?
No, that's not what it's going to be. They're going to be like not part of the saga.
Oh, but in the same universe?
Yeah, of course.
That
Oh, that was weird.
that's another example.
That was like the
Yeah.
thing that Harry Potter did.
They're starting
And
to
then they
Yeah,
made
but those
those
movies
new
suck.
movies. They made the new movies, and those I didn't
Those
even
are
watch
prequels.
those.
But yeah,
What do you mean? The Beast one?
Those come before.
But you
Really?
guys both see my point though.
Yeah,
because Harry Potter is starting to release movies
Harry Potter
not
movies
in
don't
this,
suck.
not
No,
in this,
the Harry Potter
Oh,
movies are
okay,
good.
okay.
The spin-offs are shitty.
Yeah, exactly.
okay.
Sorry.
Like they're both really good examples of what I'm talking about because Harry Potter that was one story of like 7 books, 8 movies.
So cool.
And now they're starting to create films of the same universe in a different story. Same with Star Wars. And those were both very classic franchises that are beginning to build their own expanded universes. This is going to be like a very common thing. I equate it to like...
Because it's hard to like start over.
That's like
or
what
like
comic
start
books
anew.
do.
I kind of equate it to the difference between like in music when bands started to release like well, I guess not. Yeah, in music when people stopped releasing like I'm going way back, but like when they stopped releasing like operas and movements and like concertos and stuff and they started going into like more album centric and like that shift between like much more like classical old timey like way music was spread and it goes further into like when Frank Sinatra releases like an album.
What about Travis? Like his first like
Bro.
mixtapes are kind of just mixtapes, but then he goes back into making Rodeo, which is kind of just like his story. And he gives it
Bro,
back.
you just wanted to
I don't
segue into something you
think
like
we're
to talk
talking
about.
Okay,
about-
yeah, but it's still like the same kind of thing.
I mean, not really. I don't even
Not-
think the music
he-
thing is very
he-
accurate
he-
to this.
That might be a bad
Yeah,
analogy.
the music isn't too-
What I'm saying is there is like you might like this might not be like the perfect way to explain it, but there is what I feel a very very big shift occurring.
Yeah.
And I think it's totally reasonable to expect this expanded universe trend to grow into much more than a trend. I think this is going to be a lot of the movies we're going to start
The
seeing
new wave
now.
of movies.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah, probably.
it's a shift in the whole art form. Like we're like
Yeah.
I'm very very
Yeah.
very excited to see what comes out of that. All right, I think we're gonna stop it there. That's a pretty good stopping point. Thank you guys for watching. I know this is a pretty short episode, but I think it was a pretty simple topic compared to everything else we've been talking about. So I feel it's kind of in that nature to be a bit shorter. So thank you for listening, and we'll see y'all next week.
Bad analogies.
Bye.